Hello everyone and welcome to another Quarrier pregame show brought to you by the Local Best. It's where to go before you go, localbest.com. Colin Beckler, Matt Larson with you once again. And we've got another fantastic ball game coming up tonight. The Quarriers on the road at Sioux Falls Christian. Both teams 3-1 on the season. A little bit about how they did last week. Of course, Dell Rapids, the big win over Lennox last week, and then Sioux Falls Christian losing to West Central last week. So let's talk about our game with the Quarriers and Lennox last week at home. Defensive battle for most of the game, and then that fourth quarter was pretty electric. Thoughts on what you saw in that ball game?
Well, you know, one of the closest predictions I've made. I said it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be, I guess, 21-14. It was 28-14. We get that last touchdown in the end there. But, you know, we were talking when we were doing the game that, you know, about the middle of the second quarter, the momentum shifted to them. You know, and I know before that, while I thought the momentum, that we had a heck of a goal line stance right there, and that, you know, them not scoring and having the score remain 7-0 was key. But then we did a great job of recovering it early on in the third. It felt like they still had momentum, and then it turned, and it was all Dell Rapids from that point on.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about, is how well they responded when Lennox put that score up. You know, it was 7-0 at halftime. Lennox got that score late in the third, pulled within a point, and then all of a sudden, a great response by the Quarriers.
Yeah, you know, and you had Braden Panconen again. His third game with an interception return for a touchdown. Anytime the defense gets a touchdown, everyone's excited, right? And from right there, you know, we had just scored, and then that, it kind of in our minds thought, hey, I think we can win this. We're probably going to win this. So, I mean, that just turns your whole team around.
And, you know, I thought last week was right on, spot on with what we've talked about with Class 11A, is that any given night, anything could happen. You know, that game could have gone any different way, as we had the goal line stances, a couple of interceptions, turnover on downs. I mean, that certainly could have been a much different game last week than it turned out to be. And so when you look at the Class 11A polls, not much has changed from last week. You still got Canton and Madison up there with the coaches poll and the media. West Central, with the votes from the coaches, they moved to third, followed by Dell Rapids and Lennox. Meanwhile, the media has Dell Rapids 3, West Central 4, and then Lennox and then Christian receiving votes. So we look at this halfway mark, Class 11A. I think we're starting to see some separation with those upper teams there. You've got Canton, West Central, Madison, Lennox, Sioux Falls Christian, and Dell Rapids. Those are the top 6 in the seed points, and then you've got this kind of middle tier, the bottom, you know, the middle 3 of Tri-Valley, Vermilion, and Millbank. When you look across the class, did anything happen last week that really changed your mind about how this class is shaping up this season?
Yeah, it did. So, in my opinion, West Central is on the rise here. They're just playing good football. They're winning good games, and not by a little. I mean, they're doing well. Too bad we don't play them this year.
Right.
You know, that's the one thing I can't believe that we don't get a chance to play them, but maybe in the playoffs, right? You know, we can see them. But I definitely, West Central and Dell Rapids could go 3-4 like they did in each one of these polls, but I still at the same point don't feel like the top 2 are way out of reach either. So I think, the top 4, I think you're separating those.
Well, now with the schedule that we've got coming up with Dell Rapids, they're hitting these bigger games. A second straight week with a strong opponent here in Sioux Falls Christian. Again, we mentioned they're just out of the top 5, but they're still in the top in the power points. Is there more importance on these games coming up? You know, you don't want to say it's a must-win. I think Dell Rapids is in a good spot at 3-1, but there's only a 1.5 difference between the number 2 spot in seed points and where Dell Rapids is at number 6. How important are these games starting tonight and going forward?
Well, basically, you can kind of say that, you know, we'll make the playoffs, right? Let's just say that. Okay. Now you look at where are we just going to fall, and you want to be towards the top to play the bottom, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8. But then again, in Class A football, that's not a guarantee either that you're going to, you know, sometimes a 7 can beat a 2 in this class in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting moving forward, that for sure to say.
Well, again, we take on Sioux Falls Christian tonight. Last week did take a 19-0 loss at West Central. That was after they opened up the season with 3 straight wins. But tonight, homecoming for Sioux Falls Christian. How does the homecoming celebration throughout the week impact the team on Friday night?
Well, if on any week, homecoming week is everyone in the student body is participating, whether it be dress-up days at school or, even to go down to the middle school over here and, just kind of rally them kids, and they all want to go, and then the stands will be full, right? And you got that instance, and the parents, and everyone's hyped, but on the flip side, a player has to maintain his focus too. So I think maybe homecoming, in a sense, is more for the fans and kind of rally, do special things. But you got to, as a coach, you got to keep your team focused on the game only.
Well, with that, let's talk about Sioux Falls Christian and some of the things that they do and what we can expect from them in tonight's Keys of the Game.
Yeah, so, their coach, and this is from what he said, that their biggest focus is to develop linemen on both sides of the ball. And that'll be evident when you watch the game today. So they only have 5 returning offensive starters. And those 5, pretty much the skill positions, if receivers. And then the one guy, their quarterback, Brooks Nelson, he's a 3-year starter. And so I think with those kind of, with those, the keys of the game, I put they need to score in the air. We saw a team that, on film last week, I think it was 80% run, and they did probably 50% run here. It was like 50. They threw a lot. Our defensive backs got tested. So they need to score in the air. I think a coach would look at what was successful against Dell Rapids that Lennox did. And I think that's you can pick up on that. Number 2, they need to force turnovers. That's be ripping at the ball, all those little tiny things that you have to get done. And just in watching their games, they don't convert on third down a lot. So usually the first couple downs, they get backed up, and then so they need to convert these third downs just to keep it going and try to, with that comes time of possession and all those things. Keys for Dell Rapids. I controlled the line of scrimmage. This is the way we played last week, and what this line they're in their 5th game now, but still new. And I think Dell Rapids needs to dominate the run game. Usually I'm a pass, more, but I think we can just grind, just play, in your face football. And I saw the most success when other teams would get to the quarterback immediately, flush him out of the pocket. If you're not, their handoffs are right next to one another. So, get in the backfield is another one. Yeah.
So we've got Dell Rapids again on the road at Sioux Falls Christian. Quarrier's on a 3-game winning streak. They're playing well right now. Any final thoughts heading into tonight's ballgame?
Well, I do have one injury update. Our running back, about half of the offense goes through, and he's going to be replaced by Sutton Williams, who is the normal sub at that position. But, when you have a guy carrying your running game, almost half of the runs, and he does really well up that middle, as as a fullback, and I think that could be interesting. We have to dominate the run game, but we'll see if Sutton can step up. I think he can. I know he can, actually. So look out for that tonight, and yeah, I think it'll be a good win for us.
Well, it looks like the rain has finally cleared away here from this morning. It might be a little breezy tonight, but should be an excellent night for football weather-wise, at least. So with that, let's do our final predictions. Again, homecoming game for Sioux Falls Christian. They're at home. Quarriers on a 3-game winning streak. Score prediction here for tonight.
Mine score, I'm gonna go out and just say 28-7.
28-7.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close.
I'm going to key off your keys to the game here. I'm going to say Dell Rapids is going to control the clock on the ground. I think it's going to be a 21-13 game here tonight. A little lower scoring so that we can control the clock.
True. Yep.
All right. Well, that'll wrap things up here for our pregame show. Again, we encourage you to go out to the game tonight. Should be another great one at Sioux Falls Christian. But if you can't make it, we'll be streaming it once again. Colin Beckler will have the call of the game and kickoff tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on Big Sioux Media.